Hi everyone, and welcome to the next installment of my predictions based on astrology for the week of May 27th. First, let's quickly recap the predictions for the previous week. My predictions for the stock market direction were that Monday through Wednesday will be up and only Tuesday was up. And for Thursday, Friday, I thought that the market was going to go down, and Thursday we did have a really big drop, but then the Friday market had recovered. So for the specific dates, the predictions that I had for Monday were that it will be a busy news day with some focus on the communication, transportation, like airlines, etc. And we did have news about Ryanair had warned about its profit being hit because of the Boeing 737 MAX grounding. And there was also there were news about concerns over the tech stocks basically suffering over the Trump's Huawei ban. On the 21st, I thought that there would be some additional or the increased news for maybe even 20th through 21st for various currencies, some surprising changes in value, and I specifically called sugar. And I did see that there was some news rather on the 21st, the news, the sugar prices went up, and there was also increased trading volume. And apparently there was an up on better demand. I also made predictions for Tuesday, May 21st, that there will be increased news about communication and transportation businesses where they, or even retail sales, especially over the internet, where basically there will be news about improvements in those areas where businesses may want to offer either express shipping or new ways of buying and selling things, or basically improving shipping to more locations, etc., something along those lines. And I did see that the U.S. Postal Service has announced that there will be testing self-driving mail trucks, and there was also some news of the California suing Trump administration over withholding the high-speed rail funds that they were announced to have in 2010. So basically, again, California wanting to improve their high-speed rail, and I would say that news fits with this prediction. I also made prediction globally for multiple dates in May through July, and specifically for May 22nd through 24th, that there may be news about bad weather, especially flooding and rains that would affect like farmers, land, food production. And in the U.S., there was some news over like floods in Oklahoma and Missouri, with Missouri declaring state of emergency from floods and storms and floods. And let's see, that was on Tuesday. Then I also had some news about, sort of for U.S. specifically, that May 22nd, 24th, we will hear some more news focused on like domestic policies, protecting domestic businesses, or also immigration, and sort of agreements and international partnerships. And there were some also predictions for basically the same days, 23rd, 24th of May, internationally, that there may be increased news again about bad weather, such as overheating and fires. And so there was some news in the U.S. That the U.S. had chartered large migrant facility in Texas amid flu outbreak. So this kind of news combines the predictions about both kind of focus on immigration in the news in the U.S., as well as focus on some problems that have to do with like infectious diseases or poisonings or pharmaceuticals. At the same time, there were also my prediction, again, globally for the 23rd, 24th, I specifically said that there may be news about problems with the project that either ran out of steam or kind of had a bad start. And I didn't call out like Theresa May resigning, but I would say that certainly her resignation of the Brexit failure definitely falls under the project that ran out of steam category. Let's see. On Thursday, we had a really large drop in the stock markets, like Dow Jones had lost more than 250 points. And I did predict that Thursday will be a down day, and then for the US there will be increased news on like international agreements and partnerships. And indeed, the drop in the markets was on the concerns about the prolonged US-China trade spat. And then finally on Friday, I was predicting again globally bad weather, increased news about heat fires, explosions, accidents, attacks, and there were some news about the explosion in the French city of Lyon with at least six injured. There was also a major fire in India, in Surat, with 19 dead. And we had, like I said, Theresa May resigning. That's not a fire, but it is sort of like this upsetting news that's perhaps angered some people. And that is, I guess, the energy again. I didn't predict that event specifically, but the energy of kind of anger and upset does fit in here. Let's see. Right. And also over the weekend, we had additional news that kind of fit both sort of the category of like accidents, attacks, not necessarily accidents and attacks, but rather explosions, things that are like upsetting, disruptive, and also kind of highlight this ongoing Saturn and Pluto conjunction, where we may expect increase of this stronger than usual earthquake. So we had the 8.0 earthquake in Peru on Sunday, the 26th of May, and we also had the news about the kind of new resuming explosions of the Mount Agung in Bali that had disrupted some flights. That I believe was either Friday, Saturday. And then in the US on Saturday there were some major tornadoes that have killed several people and injured a couple dozen. So these are the places where we had increase of events that relate to various like attacks or some problems, specifically Bali, like Peru, and Oklahoma in the US suffering from floods first, now then followed by tornadoes. And as I said several times before, in June, then in September, I expect the increased probability of various places in the world experiences really severe either weather-related events or earthquakes or some accidents. So places that are beginning to experiencing those issues in the at the end of May, they may continue, unfortunately, experiencing them into June, and then perhaps follow-up problem may reoccur in September. So with this, let's look at the predictions for the week of the 27th of May. And now let's talk about the predictions for the week of May 27th. The global predictions are the ongoing aspect between Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn, and that one is becoming kind of more and more precise, and starting sometime, I guess, early into mid-June, it will be aspected further, even closer by both the nodes of the moon and transits from Mars and Mercury. And so that will basically manifest most likely as increased probability of major earthquakes, disasters, and major geopolitical shifts, including basically something along the lines of established corporate leaders resigning, leaders of the government either leaving, quitting, being forced out, and with Mars kind of coming into the picture, especially, like I said, early to mid-June, potentially even being forcefully removed. We did have news about Theresa May resigning, and again, that was just an example of somebody leaving on their own. We also had a few old leaders kind of resigning in the previous months, people who were in power for like decades, and then they're leaving. And so we will have kind of more and more of that. But like I said, with Mars coming into the picture in June, things may be such that leaders resign over basically crowds getting really angry and ganging up on them, or literally there could be news about assassination attempts, as well as, like I said, disasters and other problems. And so Mars also has to do with like fires, so there may be explosions, fires, all all of the above. So that's an ongoing influence, and this particular week, it is going to be the strongest on Thursday. Let's see. Another influence that will be pretty much on all week is increased focus on oil, pharmaceuticals, navy, water, beverages, like movies, music, chemicals, really all sort of topics that may be related to Neptune. Maybe some deceptions or some secrets being revealed, and it may also manifest as problems with transportation over water or transportation involving some chemicals or oil. So either basically there is a blockage of some sort, shipment channels is blocked, and so ships literally cannot go through, or there are problems with pipes, or it could be a legal sort of an international decision or conflict that prevents certain, transportation, vehicles from coming over border. And there may also be, again, not problems, but rather increased news about negotiations involving international parties, or involving tariffs, involving long distance or international shipments and transportation. And again, that may either be related to oil and navy, chemicals, etc., or it may just be sort of happening in parallel with that. There may also be increased news about bad weather involving, again, excessive sort of water, such as rain, snow, etc., flooding, and that again may in of itself be an issue and cause delays in long distance shipments and transportation and travel. And that influence will be the strongest on Thursday and Friday. Another global influence that's kind of ongoing, and it will be the strongest this week on May 26th and 27th, is increased focus on banks and finance, as well as kind of focus on domestic businesses. Again, each country may be kind of focusing on its own sort of profits, its own needs, and saving things at home, protecting its nation, protecting its food supply, etc. And that could be due to bad weather, or just kind of countries feeling threatened or insecure, or for some reason, maybe earthquake or something that basically will switch the focus on like protection of the basic needs, of the basic savings, kind of a survival almost. And that's 26th, 27th. That's a global influence. Then for the US, we have ongoing prediction about the Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the US Supreme Court Justice, that May and June will be difficult months for her, whether it's health-wise or problems with work, or just being really tired because she's super busy. I haven't heard anything specific about that, but that's basically what I see in her horoscope. And China, specifically, that's an ongoing prediction that again has been on for several weeks and will continue for some months actually ahead. Kind of ongoing tensions that relate to either like oil, navy, some pollution, secrets, deception, pharmaceuticals, long distance transportation, as well as increased probability of earthquakes. So basically tense influences involving some kind of a slow transformation, or slow problems that need to be overcome, again with patience and over some time. That's not like an easy fix. And with again in June coming up the aspects that will involve Mars and Mercury, those faster moving planets may serve as triggers for these slower aspects. And even though the probability is kind of high, for weeks, or has been high for weeks and will continue to be high for weeks, the actual events may be triggered early to mid-June. So for specific days of the week, I didn't make any prediction for the 27th, at least for the US, because there was a holiday and the markets were closed. For Tuesday, May 28th, I think there's a slight probability of markets going up, about 55%. Then the influence for May 28th through 30th, especially for the 29th, is that, as I said before, the whole week there will be increased focus on oil, pharmaceuticals, navy, beverages, chemicals, etc. But it will be especially strong on the 29th. And that's when we have the highest probability of hearing about some problems and disruptions, maybe problems with, like I said, transportation, but also maybe of sales of gas, oil. Additionally, there may be increased news about some social network, and that may have to do with like some secrets being revealed, or that social network acting in some sort of deceptive way, basically lying to its users, or there may be problems with some drugs, such as poor sales, or it's not approved. And particularly, drugs related to like cannabis or some addictive substances, they may experience the most kind of pressure or problems due to either some rumors that are unsubstantiated or some confusion, and or there may be not problems, but rather concerns about some legal, some laws that may prevent potentially, some things going forward. Again, something's not approved, or whether it's legal, to sell the drug or something like that. So that's 28th or 30th of May, especially the 29th. Okay, so the May 29th, Wednesday, it will be a strong influence day, meaning that there will be probably increased volume in the markets, or just increased volatility, or increase of news. And I think it will be a down day, about 60-65 probability percent chance that it will be down, in my opinion. Increased news about bad weather, most likely too much sort of water, potentially news about that excessive like flooding, rains, ruining some food supply, food storage, or disrupting farming in some way. And or there may also be increased news about like windy and hot weather. And that same weather may also be disrupting travel and shipment. So that's for Wednesday. On Thursday, it will also be a strong influence day, but I was a little bit hesitating there whether it's going to be an up or down. But ultimately, I'm going to give it 55% chance of a market going down. However, it's possible the direction may switch to up by the afternoon. So basically, it's a continuation of the tensions from Wednesday on Thursday into Thursday, but maybe by the end of Thursday, things will start to look kind of better. And then for 30th through 31st of May, I believe there may be increased news or focus on the news on companies or products related to things like steel, metals in general, minerals, mining, things that are kind of buried underground and they need to kind of come up, maybe some recycling, even nuclear power potentially. And or like coal, large-scale construction that say needs like a lot of minerals of some sort, metals, rocks, etc. So that either the earnings of those companies or the value of related products may go up. And that's 30th through 31st of May, so the end of the week. And for USA, specifically on Thursday, May 30th, there may be increased news about communication transportation companies, as well as businesses like telecoms or high-tech or IT companies, electric cars, power generation, so something like airlines, airspace in general. And there may be some news about either new leaders or clarified goals, objectives, new direction. So something that maybe perhaps was confusing previously, some details weren't known. The details may be, announced in some sort of a report at that time, or some direction in which the company is moving may be clarified for better or worse. So for China, for May 30th through 31st, there may be increased probability of news about earnings or profits or value of certain products, especially related to things like lending, so maybe some sort of financial services or financial, products, something related to banks, or just products that are just in generally being sold overseas, so exports, or products that's just being transported over long distances, especially internationally, and or any really sales that depend on international agreements or laws. And the news will likely be minor sort of negative, where there may be concerns about the earnings from those areas, or there may be some kind of delays in receiving profits, or the profits may be diminished, or the savings may be less than what was expected. So that's May 30th through 31st. And then finally, 31st of May is Friday. And I believe there's about 55%, so very slight, but still more, I think it's going to go, more likely that the market will go up on Friday than down, just because things don't look as bad sort of as they do on Wednesday of this week. And there we have like a slight chance of some sort of news that may be related to like IT, telecoms, again, aerospace, power generation companies, electric sort of car companies, high tech, like I said, electric vehicles in general. And there may be some surprises, or there may be some intermittent sort of fluctuation in power, or some companies that rely on, again, sort of a lot of computing power may experience some problems with power supplies, and or there may be some increased volatility in the value of their I guess of stocks. And again, that would be a minor influence, primarily in the morning New York time on Friday. And there may also be increased sort of probability of announcements that are some surprising, maybe that come too early or not exactly in the right direction, not in the right, but rather the direction that's unexpected, about related products. So again, maybe stocks of like IT companies of some sort, or telecoms, and it may have to do with like investments or earnings. So again, maybe surprises in what they're announcing, what they will announce about their earnings, or some announcement comes, earlier than expected, or there is an announcement and then it's suddenly being reversed and a new announcement comes in. So some sort of surprises along those lines. So that's it for me for this week. I hope that this was interesting, informative, and please come back for more. And you can also check out my blog at plastunka.com, where I post these same predictions, maybe with more or less details and some comments occasionally. So I catch you guys all next week. Bye.